will put on some healing music so everyone can understand that we're talking about healing. And I'm sitting here at a different spot of my home, and it's in front of my small and humble altar where I have put two bills today because I got the bill of electricity and the bill for my gas and power provider thing. So I have two things that I have to pay, like a total of 250 euros. So I put them on my altar, like all my stresses and problems. And I gave them to Mary, and I said a Hail Mary, and I said if she could help me pay for it, and she said she could. And then you see Jesus in the version of the infant of Prague. As we all know, Prague it's a very holy city, part of the white magic triangle, which is formed by Lyon in France, Prague and Turin in Italy, which is a city split in two because, as you all know, there is a statue of Lucifer, the fallen angel, right in the center of the town. So it's a city where the forces of good and the forces of evil are at they contrast each other, and they in some way or not there is a predominance of the white side, but Turin is also known for being some place where they practice black magic on a large scale. The black magic triangle, which is an inverted triangle, would be symbolically would be Turin, Paris, and London, which are very dreadful cities in terms of not the royal family drinking children's blood and killing people in the name of Satan, like David Icke says, because that's again bullshit. But it's not from the government, but the people are more largely than elsewhere, and for a series of issues like black masses being celebrated and stuff, there's energy accumulated and dispersed in different places so that there's a predominance of either white or black on this earth. So then you have paradise that's white, and then all the earth that's descending from it, and then hell that's the black or reddish part, if you will. Okay, so Turin is a city split in two where you have good and you have evil, on a large scale, a practice of magic on both sides. Okay, so I was saying this because the infant of Prague represents the city of Prague, which is very linked to white magic. Okay, despite there's a whole lot of movies where people travel to Eastern Europe, and horror movies like I've seen one with vampires that people traveling to Eastern Europe are supposed to encounter death or Count Dracula killing them and stuff. In reality, Prague is the symbol of the rejuvenation of Christ and the beginning of the new life of Europe after the fall of communism. That's why the infant of Prague appeared, because in truth, we all have the same right, and we're all equal in the sense that we all have dignity. So the system of communism used the idea that we're all equal to take dignity away from us, the same experience in Western and Eastern Germany. So I'm here with hair gel today, like the Mad Doctor, and just like the policeman said to me on the Matamoros Brownsville border place office, are you a witch doctor? And then I said yes, and so they let me in because they recognized the power of God through me. And So the infinitive preg, let me, I don't want to get it for you because I fear that it's going to fall. So that's one, and then the other is simply a statue of Mother Mary. People often wonder, I can feel the energy of my blog, Angel and Fairy, my magic. Why do you keep posting Christian stuff, or why do you keep posting things about Mary, the Queen of Angels, in your blog, Angel and Fairy Magic, or why? Because there's a hierarchy, as an author, which I can't pronounce in English, explained, um, which you had the infamous Pseudo Monarchia Demonium, which was written by Joan something in Latin in the Middle Ages, explaining characteristics of different demons, such as Belial, for example, who is a demon who is very soft spoken and who is a liar. Belial, as in Beliar. In the exorcism of Emily Rose, that's where this demon is conjured and summoned into the body of Emily Rose, and she becomes possessed. So he has the way to possess people by making them renounce God, first of all, like every demon, then by giving them the illusion of control through success and personal elevation, which in reality brings the effect of hallucinations of power at first, possibly insects, and then of death. Then, as above, so below, you imagine it and you get it. So, why was I speaking of this demon? I don't remember. But I have the statue of another statue that I have. It's a statue of Saint Michael, which I can take because it's very little. So I'm not afraid it's going to fall. So you have Saint Michael with golden wings. And then I have another statue which I named Saint Gabriel, but in truth might even not be him. Might even not be him. So that's my altar. And that's my altar and everything around it. And God bless you. And we can start talking about health and healing. I don't want to cover him, but we have Jesus still there. Even if you can't see him, he's still there. And even if you don't believe in him, he can see you. Meaning, it's not like the Big Brother where everyone sees you, and it's not meant to scare you, and it's not like in the Lord of the Rings, the Eye of Moloch watching you. Moloch, I don't like to name demons too much, but Moloch in the Kabbalah is in the sphere of Klippoth, so the tree of death, which is not knowledge, but it's death, or knowledge of death, if you so prefer. Whereas the tree of life has Metatron on top of it, which is the connection to God and the capacity to hear, possibility to hear His voice. Satan slash Moloch, it's at the other end of the tree of death, the impossibility or renouncing the possibility to hear the voice of God, your creator. So the God-given possibility to deny your connection with God. And as a lot of satanic internet websites say, God, which they call the enemy, will try to reconnect you with him constantly. And he does have the power to do so. So it's a lot of work to keep this connection from God, because it's against your own nature, okay? So the first suggestion for healing is to follow your own nature, which is not robotic or stereotypical, as a lot of people think that angels are robotic because they're all perfect in truth and they all do what is right and they're all loving. A robot is not loving and it's not perfect, okay? It's just something created in like us in the image and likeness of the creator. In this case, it's us humans. In the case of God, God the creator who created us humans. And but the difference is that we have a soul while a robot doesn't. Also, the robot doesn't have the free will necessary to make certain choices. Okay. And now I was looking at myself and I was thinking, turning my head like this, do I look like that statue of Lucifer, which is I think it's inside a church or close to it, in Belgium, in Liège, called in French, don't know the English word for that town. And it's very famous authors have written about him. Don't remember the name of the author from the Church of Satan that put the image of Lucifer on. You can talk about anything if that thing brings liberation. Okay, it can be more liberating to talk about the devil for 1 hour if it's for exorcistic purposes, and it might be less valuable to talk about God if you talk about God in an insulting way. Okay, so it depends on how you talk about that symbol that creates enslavement, suppression of instincts, like the devil in tarot has. And I connect myself to the book by Corvus or Corvus Nocturnum. Now, I've taken Latin in my high school years, but I cannot pronounce it very well in English, although it could be easier for me in Italian. But it means raven of the night, which is very symbolic. The raven, the God created animal, and of the night, the God created part of the day, if you will. Darkness in itself is very fascinating because it was created by God, and the concept of darkness could be fascinating in the sense of the occult. So the night, a sense of liberation, tenderness, and love. In these ways, the night is liberating and the night is Christian, and every part of the day is Christian. The devil tells you about the night and the darkness so that you don't recognize him. This way he can destroy your life. If you want to destroy someone's life, there is nothing better than God. Okay, if you want to place a curse, curses are healing too. If somebody has wronged you, you can get it all out of your system by cursing the person. God does curse. Moses killed an enormous amount of people when in Egypt he killed the Pharaoh and other people who were crossing to kill them. Just like in the US, if somebody enters your property, you have the state given right to harm him, let's say. In the same way, if someone enters your property, your soul, your aura, repeatedly, and at the end you have the God-given right to punish him. That's also part of your healing because you don't accept the foreign energy in you, whether it's of the devil or of other enemies or foes. The devil being the main one, obviously. Okay? So, it's like when you are in the desert and then you see an oasis, and that's where you know that you have to quench your thirst. That's the same thing with God. If you are in hell or you are detached from God, the only thing that you know will bring you salvation is God. So absence of water, the only thing that can bring you salvation is water. It's the same principle. Although you may go on for days without water, you cannot go on for days without God, as God is the first principle. Automatically, including, say, if God died, Satan would die too. So you have to reinforce the concept of God in the way that he cuts out of your life other concepts. Okay? like the concepts of Satan or the archetype of Lucifer, and all this bullcrap that was edited in the past few years, when people think that because they're rational they have to be Satanists, like Carla LaVey in an interview, the daughter of Anton LaVey of the Church of Satan, says, all of these killings could not killings in Matamoros, Mexico. They cannot be the product of a Satanist mind, because Satanism is a rational philosophy, and that's like a puppet that's possessed by millions of demons that's brought to say those words, like a puppet of the devil that talks this, which is crap, because the devil is the divider of human from good. Okay. And although I do actually believe that the majority of Satanists do not commit physical homicide, it's also true that when somebody commits a homicide, it's always Satan behind him or her that pushes you towards that act of emptiness, if you will. Okay? And it won't change. So the first part of healing has to be you renounce Satan and renounce. This is a little bit how he is. He's pensive and thoughtful and liberated and annoyed and sad and lonely. Very, very extremely charming and very distant from the light, and very distant from the fairies, and very distant from the angels and from God, and very distant from anything. That's part of his problem, that he seems to be too original not to be liked. Okay? But it's like all those people that talk, and they don't do facts, they don't do actions, they don't do anything. Okay? So it's not the issue if that murder was carried out by members of your, let's call it church, of your organization, okay? Which the devil is chaos, but your organization. But what matters is that all the acts of violence are inspired by him, so you're somehow contributing to all of these acts, and even if the law of humans won't punish you, you might be premature not you personally, but the Satanist might meet premature death because God will punish him, okay? Or he or she might meet just illusion, okay? And I really do wish that Carl LaVey and all these Satanists live as long as possible in the right faith, being God's children. I pray for their salvation. People have been saved. And if you believe in reincarnation, a lot of people, like the same Anton LaVey, could be reincarnated as a non-Satanist right now. He could be baptized right now in another life as Christian, because he understood with experience the value of life. Sometimes if the experience is killing yourself, you might know beforehand, if you're rational, that it's wrong. So I wish that no matter their faith, these people live very long, but I would prefer that they do live under God, and like the anthem of the US, under God, indivisible, and then they somehow change their mind about the future of humanity, and they do realize that if they're seeking a good archetype, there's already Jesus. If they're seeking an archetype to give them power, You have the Lord Shaddai, the Almighty, who has all the power. Okay, and even with vain desires, if they want to be the most beautiful, the most famous, the most rich, all abundance and all richness comes from God, and all healings comes from God. Okay, so they can live up to 90 years old as Satanists and be sad, or they can live up to 90 years old as Christians and be happy. Okay, and die nevertheless, although God created us immortal physically first, and then when Jesus will come back, we'll go back to that state of physical immortality. Okay, which is not a vampiric concept, but it's true. Who could be the best example of raising from the grave? Would it be a vampire that it's just a myth, just an archetype, or would it be Jesus that's real? And even speaking of archetypes, would you like an archetype that loves you, or an archetype which creates chaos into your life and havoc and destruction? That's the first step of healing, and it has to be a radical choice. It has to be a radical choice. Radical means from the start, and then automatically, like when you comb your hair, you comb it from the base of your skull, okay, from the top of your head up to the end, and you comb them so they're straightened up. Okay, so it's a radical choice which automatically combs your hair in the correct way. And I was saying, just like water, you're drinking holy water. Okay, these people drinking holy water, and you think of it and it's real. Okay, and if the next glass they drink, you think that's holy water, and it's going to be holy water. And if you don't believe in that symbol, it doesn't matter. If you still believe the earth is flat, then the earth is flat to you, but it doesn't mean that it's round. And just because the church was wrong in the past not to recognize the scientific reality of some things, it doesn't mean that you mustn't recognize the scientific reality of God. God is scientifically proven, okay? In the spirit of God, with the Kirlian camera, you can picture all these angels and all these spirits, okay? I was going through the website when I was a Satanist years ago of the Joy of Satan. I'm not giving them a piece of publicity, but I'm remembering what the head of that thing, that ensemble of people put together. And they were freeing the demons from hell, like Azazel, and giving them through their chakras, which God created, their most beautiful energy centers, their energy, so that they would stay as damned as ever, the same way. But they thought the illusion was that they were freeing them and giving them a new life with their energy. They were as stupid. And a lot of people, I mean, most people in the Satanist community talk shit about that organization. They talk shit about each other because they're divided, because they're of the devil, okay? Just a Christian can love these people for who they really are. So we as Christians do love, say, Anton LaVey more than any Satanist, because we recognize the drama of his life and who he could have been and his beautiful soul in essence, okay? So we do love Satanists more than Satanists love each other, okay? This doesn't mean that they have to do what they're doing, but this means that they were created healthy. We were all created healthy and whole by God, and then by the desire of attracting attention, the desire to take some time off. Maybe your mother didn't understand that you could have gotten some time off just by simple request, and you didn't have to be sick to be at home and peaceful with her attentions that she wouldn't give you otherwise if you weren't sick. A lot of the psychology tells you that, and in this sense, they're for once right, that There's always a reason that's not physical for every disease. Sometimes that's mental, sometimes that's spiritual, okay? And after all, it's spiritual every time, although it can manifest more in the mind, maybe at times, because all sickness comes from the devil and all health comes from God. So why am I speaking of dirty, unclean spirits? Just because we're speaking about healing, and if you don't understand that your sickness comes from these spirits, and if you think that they've been misplaced in this video because they have nothing to do with your disease, then there's gotta be something wrong with you, not with me. Now with God, because God the life force is always healthy. It's just like the incontaminated source of water up in the mountain. That's in every religion the resource and source of illumination, God. Then some religions might want to take their time. Some religions want to take their time and you want to indulge in these other gods, okay? Before we get to know God, we want to waste 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lifetimes in hell and then discover God and be as enlightened as he could possibly be, as healthy and as holy, and be the best for who I want to be and more. Okay, then you are allowed to do so if you want to get lost and waste your lives to come until you realize who you are and you need some time off. It doesn't have to be so dramatic. You can simply say, I want to be left alone for a while, take 1 year, 2 years off, but don't make tragic mistakes and then go back to where you feel well, just by believing in God and believing in Jesus, your Savior. Even if you don't pray, or pray seldom, as Shakespeare would say, pray seldom. And it's the theory of, these Freemasons, and it's the theory of the New World Order, and it's the theory of all these theories that are theories, meaning that they're thoughts by people who could be deluded, they could be idiots, they could be anachronistical, they could be totally insane. Who cares? Okay, it's these thoughts of fear that create fear into your mind, and it's by not believing the thought of fear, which you don't believe in the devil, which you don't believe in sickness, which is coming from the outside. When you think that a sickness is part of yourself because of the way you think, then it's time to change the way you think so that sickness won't be a part of yourself because you've changed differently. Okay, and when you realize all the mistakes you've done, this is when sometimes you get sick, because sometimes you connect to the price of the karma that you have to pay, and you open your eyes and reawaken to the splendid creature that you were. In my case, when I renounced Satan, because Satan does terrorize you, like, I don't know, he puts himself spiritually in front of you and then, he does like that. And it's not, I'm doing it as a joke, but he makes really dirty faces and he scares you to death. And for some days, as punishment, I would still see him, although he was not there terrorizing me. And that was part of my karma. And then other karmas that I paid are more personal, okay? But I can guarantee that the first thing that God unites you to is love, okay? So when I first did my pact with Satan, and that's the first time that I renounced him, Satan, and then I renounced him a couple more times until I renounced him once and for all. I was with him for a couple of years in total. Very fascinating. And then he told me to block on Facebook my soulmate. So he explicitly said I can hear voices clearly, like I am as crazy as it could be, so my voices in my head are clear, and if it's a demon or an angel, I can hear him. I don't want to connect with illness anymore, so I don't hear demons, but if I wanted to hear the voice of God, I could hear it. So in the same way I could hear the voice of Satan, when you make a pact with the devil comes to you under your right your right ear, and he talks to you here and he gives you suggestions, okay? He suggests, he puts forward You cannot force, okay? But I was almost forced to delete my soulmate on Facebook. This was when I was in San Diego, believe 2000 14, 13, something like that. So it hasn't been long that I've been without Satan, but I've done white magic years before him, and I'm doing it now. That's all I'm doing. Whereas before I was mixed. So we have to go through different stages of our life, just like Buddha had to go through, like we said last time, I had to go through richness before connecting to God and being a saint. I had to go through hell before going to paradise, just like Khalil Gibran said. That sentence very touching. Sometimes, not always. Sometimes, before reaching the dawn, you have to go through the night. The dawn, the golden dawn, not Lucifer. The dawn that's gold, that's pure, that's created by God, that's Christ. The gold of his soul, not of his body, not the concept, but the very gold of his essence, or of Saint Michael, that's gold, the archangel of the sun. Lucifer wasn't going to be an angel of the sun, so cannot be connected to light in this sense, okay? Cannot be connected to light of God anymore as he's disconnected from him. So the first suggestion that Satan gave me, first of all, I was in the San Diego home, and I was preaching about different stuff at that time, and I was connecting to different deities. Not only to God. So I had a statue of the Holy Death in my room, and I had the statue of Saint Michael at the other end of the room. So it was all mixed for me at that time, okay? But the first suggestion that Satan gave to me, he was like, delete your soulmate from Facebook. And I was in front of this person's profile, okay, for about 30 minutes. And I said, I don't want to do this, Lucifer. I don't know why you're telling me this. And I had this terrible headache. And then he starts giving you all these commands, like do this, do that, do this, do that. Not because it feels at first like some type of behavioral instructor that wants you to perform at your best, but in reality, what he's trying to do, he's trying to put pressure on you so you break down, okay? Which is what I did. So I said, I'm sorry, maybe I'll see you again. If I can't come back into this, I'll see you again. He said, sure. And then he left me, and I renounced him, and I saw Mary, and I cried, and I went back with God for a little less than a month until I had to go. Because God told me that I had to be the best exorcist, not on the block, but in general. Like, I had to be the best white magician that was out there, and I had to go through hell in order to see paradise. And right now, it just comes natural to me to free people from Satan. And if you have demons in you, this I do for free, if it's not through ritual, okay? So you can just contact me, and I'll tell you who's in you and how to get rid of you, or just directly get rid. Just my presence will liberate you from Satan and all demons. At the same time, the symbol that liberates you already without contacting me is God. So if you think you have demons, just connect to the energy of God, and they're gone metaphysically already, okay? Metaphysics means the thing that's beyond physics, so the knowledge that's more advanced than physics. Physics is physical, okay? But a lot of quantum physics are copying the concepts of, say, Buddha, Christ, a little bit less, and all these concepts, putting them together into experiments and to see if it's true scientifically, and they're proving that it's true scientifically. So I'm thinking about an expression that it's dialect in my hometown of Italy, but I cannot say it right now. It basically means, good job. You made a good job. You did a good job. You don't have to prove the rule. I mean, you can, but you don't have to prove the rules of. I'm still sitting like Lucifer. You don't have to prove the rules of life. Okay. Well, I can sit straighten up. Maybe more comfortable. Okay. You don't have to prove the rules of life, because the rules of life prove themselves. Okay? You just calmly proceed on without pressure. Like in Zen Buddhism, they say, Zen Buddhism, very interesting concept in itself already. What did you know? What did you do before illumination? I was planting, I was, I don't know. eating rice and cultivating potatoes. What was I doing after illumination? And then what was I doing after illumination? I was eating rice and cultivating potatoes. I don't recall the exact sentences, how it is structured, but it's basically I'm doing the same thing. Before and after illumination, now because I'm an part of the Illuminati, but all these structures and sentences and terms were made before, created before. So I reached illumination and I kept on living the same life that I lived before, but with a different outlook. Just like it's a lot of talk that they do now with New Age and stuff. It's like opening your third eye. Opening your third eye. I like to be comfortable. How did I open my third eye? I didn't meditate. I asked the unicorns through a ritual to please open my third eye because I discovered that they were the best in it. If you look at their images, they have the third eye. They have their horn on it, so it's extremely sensitive. And I lighted a few candles for me and my dearest person, and they opened my third eye in a few weeks, and I didn't have to do anything but wanting it and thanking them. That's how white magic works, and that's how health works. You just have to ask for perfect health, okay, and then just wait for a few weeks, and then perfect health comes to you. That part of you that's sick, whether it's your headache, your panic attack, anxiety, whether it's anything it is, you have to realize it's not part of you, so you have to let it go now. And once you let it go, we're summoning Archangel Raphael, we're summoning the fairy of Jupiter, and all the healing spirits which are still in God's grace, which God created. We're summoning Saint Bernadette and all the healing saints. We're summoning Our Lady of the Lord, which with their healing water, just as if we were there, is going to take away from us all sickness, all demons, all disease, everything that's waste, that's toxic, that's like the heavy metal band Biohazard, okay, Biohazard, and they're gonna take it away from us. And it's at that point where you're sick, it's best someone else takes it, but not you. Okay, anything your instinct to live can also mean someone else dies, can prevail. It must prevail over anybody. Okay, it must prevail over anything, and then you will adapt yourself and you will be more just and more equal and more prosper. Okay, but in the meantime, that anything is good, anything works, anything is right, but your disease. Okay, so with a lot of these pharmaceutical companies, a lot of these people want to make money, a lot of stereotypes around this concept. These people want to make money just like everyone wants to make money. It's not their fault. Fault is yours, which you cannot seek for an alternative. They must sell these drugs at the pharmacy stores because they're good for you or they're good for other people, and in some cases, they, 1 in a million, could be proven that they're correct, okay, to take. Just like if you take, cannot think of the word, that herb's name in Italian that's good for your immune system, but I'm thinking about, say, if you have if you have a cold, you can take an aspirin, that's chemical, or they use in Indian medicine a principle that's called tulsi or tulsi. I don't know in English which word that is. It's the same, Tulsi. And that's called holy basil. That's very balsamic. That's very balsamic. That's very. It corrupts every type of acidity in you, every type of. They are guiding me that a lot of you or some of you have problems with their stomach. They suffer of perhaps avoid the consumption of vinegar for a few days. That's what I'm guided to tell you. If people can use this, stop for a few days, because I see some people have problems with their stomach in terms of too many acid foods. Okay, there's yin food and there's yang foods. I personally don't follow the yin and the yang because it's not always true that there's a little bit of everything in everything, because there's absolutes too. If you believe that there's a little bit of everything in everything, then it has to be a lie, because is there a little bit of evil in God, or is there a little bit of wrong in Israel, or is no? It's not always applicable. In food, sometimes it could be applicable in the sense of energies that are more masculine, energies that are more feminine, like the yin more feminine and the yang more feminine. So energies more masculine, energies more feminine in everything, okay, including some foods, okay. So too much masculine food will create stability, but at the same time lack of fun, lack of originality. Too much feminine instability, and sometimes your stomach feels aching and stuff. Okay, so but it's not. It has nothing to do with the yin and the yang, which is a lovely concept, but it's not a divine concept, because it renounces the reality of there being an absolute. Okay. Everything is not dual. Okay, everything is not dual. There's things that are good per se, like angels, and things that are bad per se, like demons. And then angels can curse, but this is a thing that's good per se because it restores the balance God created. So it's not yin and yang. It doesn't exist. It's very fashionable. A lot of people get tattoos with it, and they're all idiots because it's not a concept that's in any way fascinating or in any way divine. Although it contains, just like every lie, part of truth. Like some of the doctrine of Hitler might have contained a part of truth, maybe. Like there was in truth a lot of frustration from the Germans because these Jewish people were so rich, and because they didn't know Christ, they were not very given to them. So part of their frustration was it corresponded a reality. This doesn't mean that they have to die for it, but they sure weren't without sin. Okay, they sure weren't without sin. But at the same time, you don't want to take it to an extent that you want to exterminate them. And discriminating them by placing, the yellow Star of David, I'm thinking that that's a blessing, because I charge $150 to get one of those, like Star of David. It's charged with my energy, charged with God's energy, and activated with the angels, so it protects you. And in magic, it truly is. They speak like Hitler was this fantastic black magician. In truth, to the Son of God and to everyone, that symbol creates liberation, six-pointed star. It's a symbol of protection. So I'm thinking that's how the Jews, I was thinking that earlier before the video, I'm thinking that's how the Jews got saved. I'm thinking that's how the Jews got saved, because they were given the Most High, may they all be blessed right now in God's name, their Most High protection. Okay, at the same time, Germans don't need to carry this burden still, because it's not their fault anymore. It wasn't back then, and you couldn't be too much against it, although you could be in your heart and you could express it in the means that God wanted. God didn't want these people, these Germans, to express their contrariety to the regime or to the persecution of Jews, because they would have been killed. They could not. God would not have allowed it, because they would have been killed. They would have been martyrs. Okay, but they had to disagree in their heart. Okay, and express it at due time if it was requested. I personally was killed in a past life because I was part of a Hitler Youth, that's true, in one of my past lives in Germany in the late 1920s. I lived until I was just about 29 or so, a little bit older, but I was there in those years, and 1935, I mean the 20s and 30s, and not until the end of the war though. And I've met this person who was the husband of my main spiritual teacher in this life, which is not my use anymore, but which she was important in the past for me. And her husband in this life was the very person that I saved in that life, because he was Jewish, and I did something to try to save him, and then in the end he ran away and I was killed because I tried to save a Jew. So I've lived the stereotype and propaganda of the Nazi party on my, not this physical body, but my soul. And then I was a priest in France. The life after that, and didn't live too long either. And then this life, I'm sure I'll be a lot luckier. But all this information is again, and I was very long. I had a lot of longevity for many lives, but God gives you all this information before, okay? So I see that the people watching, one of them has got a blood disease. So I'm praying God right now that you discover it and that you heal yourself. If you've got HIV or any of these blood diseases, what I can't do for the law, I can't, as a esoterical teacher or occult person, cannot really do this work for you, but I can tell you how it's done. And he heals all types of, God heals everything. I don't think that's illegal to say it. And in practice, what you have to do to heal any type of disease, including HIV, cancers, okay, is if you have it, you can light up 7 green candles to Archangel Raphael on a Wednesday when the moon is waxing, so it's growing. And then you can do it when it's dawn, few seconds after. And then use some healing incense if you have it. If not, you can just use frankincense or any type of incense that you have will do it, I think. It creates some type of effect in you, whether it's relaxing, whether it's romantic, whether it's whichever you connect to is what's going to heal you. There's not a specific type of incense that is healing and another that's not, okay? It depends what you're lacking, okay? So any type of incense could be good. Even something like opium that, you know, will make you think of something that's non-healing. It could be healing if what you need is relaxing, okay? They're not using the part of the flower that's considered an illegal drug. Opium just gives you the sense of relaxation, okay? You're not being like Baudelaire or these damned poets that were cursed by God in truth, that they were very poetic, very feminine, and very profound, but they just chose, although most of them, like Humboldt, chose the right path for them, even in their sexual choices, but they renounced God in their hearts in some moments of their life, and that's how they got their bad luck or drug addiction. But there's worse than that. People want to strive to find the peace that God gives them in any way, so that's very romantic, okay? Just find the right ways to do it. Some parts of your life could be dedicated to drugs discovery. This is not shamanism. It could be part of your path, but I don't encourage it and I don't suggest it. But it could be part of your path because it could be a way to get to know yourself better. When I was younger, I've done a lot of these drugs, and now I don't do them anymore. How did I quit? Because I've left my family, and how the moment I disconnected from my family, this is when I stopped. Okay. Because I wasn't stressed anymore. So put your energy elsewhere, okay? And then some of my past mistakes I do recognize as mistakes. I used to listen to a lot of black metal and satanic music. That was also a mistake, okay? All of these things could be sins, and sometimes could be ways, even though they're sins, to get you closer to God in the end. So avoid them at all costs. But some of you could be called not to sin, but to discover some things, like, I'm not speaking about Satan, I'm speaking about drugs, that could be in some ways opening their eyes. But it's also true that when you have to give a reading, or when you have to connect with these energies that are angelic, you just want to be sober, okay? But it's if you're in a country where it's legal, like Holland or other places, and it's part of your path, it's not a sin per se to drink a glass of wine or to smoke a joint. That's not. But if it's a crime in your country, please refrain from doing so. The policeman that's arresting you for weed, for possessing weed, that could be. He could be at the same time possessed by a demon. He could be at the same time a bigger sinner for God. But you have to respect both laws, the law of God and the law of man, because you don't want to betray your life purpose God gave you by spending time in jail, okay? So you want to avoid all these things. But drug is therapeutical marijuana already exists in the US, okay? Takes your mind off stuff. There's sins that are greater, okay? Always try to commit no sin, but if you have to sin, choose the smallest sin. It could also maybe not even be a sin, just like with the case of marijuana. Sometimes it's not even a sin. So if you want to go out of the rules, go out of the rules of man, don't go out of the rules of God. Make that choice. But if you're even smarter, you don't go out of the rules of men either. Sometimes, just like murder, the two laws are equal, sometimes they're not. God, I don't want to be like Bob Marley today, but God would not approve actually of heavier drugs, possibly, but not he wouldn't be against a country selling marijuana for legally, just like you sell drugs in the pharmacy. That you don't have to be political in this, but you have to acknowledge that some of these drugs have killed people and some of these drugs can kill, whereas marijuana cannot. So it's the same principle. Why do you sell this and you don't you sell that? Healing is, you always choose the alternative that makes you feel better. It doesn't matter which label it has on it. Everything has the divine label. Everything was God created. It doesn't matter your concept of it. If it makes you feel better, then just like the song says, it cannot be that bad, okay? It cannot be that bad. So getting towards the end, if you're seeking for a consultation on healing, cannot use legally the term health, although you can diagnose yourself. I was speaking about the ritual with Raphael. I'm going to tell you that some of you, one of the people watching this video has, I'm sorry to say this, but HIV. It's somebody who is in a male in his 20s. So if the angels will guide you to softly know who you are and what you have to do. 7 candles on a Wednesday, waxing moon. Also, if you have a friend who has HIV, offer them green, emerald green, possibly, to Archangel Raphael. Please may this person heal from this disease. And then the best thing will be to leave the wax left over to the waters of a river, and that's not polluting it. If you can't do that, you can, if it's a healing if you say get rid of, it's waning moon, so it has to be a different type of ritual. But if healing from, then you can bury them in a park, or there's a law that has to be certain amount of inches that has to be deep in order for it to be illegal. But you can follow that, and then at this point you choose to heal your friend, and your friend is healed. Okay, so whoever has HIV, have your angels guide you towards form of alternative healing. Two people among you have minor problems to their stomach, and then a lot of people among you have stress. I see one of you thinking that he could have problems in his heart, like a heart attack or develop heart disease conditions like this in the future. Even if your mother or father or uncle have a disease, it doesn't. If you've read the latest email by Hay House, I knew this years ago. It was in other types of literature already before Hay House said it yesterday. But this is millennia old, okay? But it's so old, and it comes from the three-letter word God. Okay, that's so old that it came before you. And but although it's divine knowledge already, Hay House and Louise Hay is one of the most wonderful healers that's out there. Okay, and then if it's your life purpose, it also work on your frustration. Be a healer, you too, whether it's your life purpose or not. Because even if it's not your life purpose, you can make a lot of money. But you want to choose to be healed, and in that way you make a lot of money automatically. Okay, if not, it's money that doesn't have any value. Okay, so better to be spontaneous, even if you're childish. Okay, so you heal your friend from HIV, and I see that. So it's not, hey, how said, it's not your genes that matter, but it's your it's the thoughts that are in your mind that create. And then you could go deeper, you could say your spirit, but it's your thoughts that create the reality. It's not your how if your aunt would complain a lot because her feet would hurt, it's not because your father used to eat a lot of sugar and then you have to get diabetes because your father ate a lot of sugar. It's not because your, I don't know, your cousin from Kansas ate a lot of potatoes, and so you have to be fat just like your cousin from Kansas. It's not like that it works, and you're an idiot if you think that genes have any importance for your health now or in any direction of time and space. They don't count for anything. Okay, and I was gonna say something worse, that they don't count. What counts is your mind and your positive outlook. So if your father died for a heart attack, okay, unless he deserved to die, I'm sorry for your father, because a lot of father figures, or I don't know, alcoholics, or are violent, abusive. In that case, I'm not sorry if they died, because God took them away with a reason. Okay, when God takes away, it's with a reason. But 99% of the times, I'll be obviously sorry if your father knew death. Okay, but you don't have to care, because this disease that he had, okay, this heart attack cannot be passed on to you by genes, because it's totally disconnected. Once you detach from your father's and family's way of thinking, because it's not yours, because as you can very well see, you're two different individuals, and it's been a while already, okay, and it's been a while already that you were two different individuals. Okay, and if you're two freaking different individuals, why are you, okay, I'm about to get violent. Why are you fucking thinking just like your family if you're fucking different? You have your own mind. You have your own mind. You love your family. You respect your family. I hope you laugh about you. You love your family. You don't want to look like Woody Allen. You love your family. You respect your family. You love them for how they need to be loved, by confirming to them and to everyone the positive, and by denying any type of contact with the negative. Okay. I remember in the movie The Craft, or like the evil witch, the one with black hair, I don't recall the name in the movie or the actual name of the actress, but she just with her thought, creates this heart attack into her father's heart, and then he dies, and that's possible to carry out with magic. Okay, that's not knowledge. That's knowledge that's in books already. Okay, but I never cast death curses. But I'm just here to tell you that these things are possible. Okay, and it doesn't always come back to you. Sometimes people could be justified to wish other people death, but that's not something that I encourage, and that's not something that I do. That's something God does. God kills, or God reiterates, or God forgives. It just depends on you. If you realize the bad that you've done and you've changed, then He forgives you. If you don't and you reiterate and you continue to hurt people, He must stop you somehow, and it's going to kill you, directly or through other people. And then people cry, okay? But it's God. So you have to focus on health. Why? Like Lucy Cavendish, who's very profound author that you have to know, okay? You have to. She speaks with an Australian accent, so you have to acknowledge the shadow part. The shadow part of you. So it's not just like those shallow people that it's all love and light, love and light, love and light. That's not only the only part of God. Is also meditating on your meditating on your shadow side. Okay, when you have a shadow side, just put it in your. Embrace it. Embrace not the darkness, but embrace your moment of sadness, just like Mary embraced the tears that she had when Jesus fell when he was a child, or in other moments of his life. Okay. She didn't say, oh, they're crucifying him. I'm all happy because he's saving humanity. Who cares if he dies? They're crucifying him and I'm going to be saved too. Hallelujah. She didn't say that she was happy for the happy part, but she acknowledged the sad part and she cried, and she didn't fight it back by putting up a fake smile, just like a lot of Satanists do, that put up that fake smile that everything is okay. Well, they're puppets of Satan. You have to realize that it's not through the fake smile. Never fake a smile, never fake an emotion. Never fake anything. Always be real, always be in contact with God, always be healed, never be in anxiety. There's nothing that every time you try to find a rational justification, okay, to something that is going to hurt you in this lifetime, to something that makes you feel bad, renounce it immediately, because that's not God. Every time that you think something, although you might think it doesn't come from God, because you have that sense of guilt that the ego gives you, but it is God. Even when you sin, in church you say it was my fault. You say that prayer, I sinned because it was in Catholic churches. You do from mea culpa in Latin for my fault, my only fault. I don't know how you say that in English. Never. I don't think I've ever went to anywhere Catholic in the U.S. Maybe Baptist churches and so on. But you have that prayer. It doesn't mean that you have to feel guilty. You have to realize it was your responsibility and you were wrong, and therefore you awaken to the truth that you were wrong, so it was your fault. Okay, but you don't have to feel you're guilty of it, and you feel guilty for that second because you are, but then it goes away. It doesn't create that guilt. The guilt stays with you if you don't confess your sins to God. If you confess your sins to God, so all healing, they say, comes from forgiveness, and your health comes from a natural lifestyle, or the lifestyle that you feel most adaptable to you in that part of the day. Just like the bamboo sticks, they go with the wind, they never break because they're soft and gentle. And then the big trees, okay, when they break, if they're too rigid, if a branch that's very rigid, okay, it's easier to break than the bamboo stick because it's rigid, okay? So be like bamboo, be flexible to the reality around you. And once you come in this state, you can also dominate the reality around you by changing it. And once you change the reality, the first fault in the US that people are superficial, think that they only need to change their behavior. That's not true. You change your faith, you believe in God, and you ask Him to guide you towards healing and good health, and then you take the following steps that He gives you and you personally in an individualized manner. You don't need to follow certain behaviors as an absolute, okay? The only absolute that I'm going to give you today is God and Jesus, your Savior of your heart and your life. Okay? So rejoice in the Lord, rejoice in the comforting Princess of Angels, and I'm sending you Archangel Raphael for today to your house to guide you to those changes that are responsible to leading you to a better state of health, and give back everything that let's do this ritual together, everything, all the bad things that people did to you. You summon them up. We contact Archangel Cassiel, the Archangel of Saturn, and we lovingly ask Archangel Cassiel to take all this negativity with the help of God, all this negativity, and send it back. All these fake beliefs, all these curses, to break them and to send them back, to send them to us, okay? Because we don't want them. Somebody gave us a gift that we don't want. We can't accept this gift. It looks lovely, but we can't say yes. It would be our dream to accept it. We can't accept it for reasons that are socially acceptable. They're nourishing for ourselves. They have been suggested to us by people who are respectable, and we can't avoid to follow them, okay? That has to be the reason. You can't be because my heart says so, because some people don't respond to that. You have to use a strategy, okay? Like the High Priestess in Tarot. Then I can't talk too much. Then I'm going to leave you for a few seconds with this beloved music. I hope that this healing was effective, and Archangel Raphael is going to stay with you all day today and guide you to the choices and thoughts with the help of God that will bring you back to the state of perfect health. So no gene is ever corrupted, no thought is originally evil. You just have to go back to your nature, to why I really always wanted to do that, then do it. Obstacles are broken, removed now for you, and you can move on your life path, the path of healing. And if you want personalized help, you can contact me through my email, esoteric, like ESOTERIC services, so esoteric services .america, although my clients are from everywhere, but .america @gmail.com. That America, that's the country that I love the most, so that's the reason why. And then a lot of people are more sensitive to spirituality because it's just such a religious and such a godly country. So greater the danger when it's like that, because most beautiful apple, most terrible worm type of thing. But if you watch your territory, and if you watch, now I'm speaking spiritually about us, if you watch your aura, if you protected, like I wear a crucifix, that's what I wear, but I have talismans, I have amulets, I have other types of things that are good for you. Or just like we said about Nazis, the Star Date, that's protection. If you see it, protected from you, Adolf, protected from you. All these people were protected by God against the Nazis. And He gave them this protection. That's how they won. So you can win the same way. Enoch seemed no being shut. In this sign of the cross, that's how you win. That's how you want to be a winner. That's how, for anything that's on your mind right now, you can live anything if you live it correctly. Okay, you can live any type of positive thing, and then as years go by, you'll be more spiritual. And any experience you've made, even though it was a mistake, it doesn't hurt you because you've accepted it as part of your life. And it has to be clear that first of all, you have to gain your connection with God, and then establish your connection with Jesus and accept Him as your Savior. And then you can conclude by saying, thank you, God, every day for what you've received, and that gratitude automatically will bring more benefits to you, and automatically more blessings and more things into your life that are splendid. And Jesus also welcomes you every day of your life to be with Him and to be around Him and to be in His heart, which is very warm and loving and very soft feeling to be in His heart, and very gentle feeling to be with Him, and very healing feeling to be with Him. And He can heal, if you ask Him, even by prayer. He can heal every disease, and He can heal everything. He can heal cancer, heart conditions, diabetes, everything. When there's healing, it's always God, it's always Jesus. So Jesus can heal everything, and everything can be healed through Him who created us. So through God, everything can be healed. And that's all I have to tell you about healing, about health. You have to trust Jesus and follow Him, and you will be healed. That's as easy as it is. Okay? So God bless you. If you have further questions or request a personal healing that's through ritual, whether it's on this altar or in other places, other altars in my house, then you're free to do so. And everything is very simple and everything is very genuine. Okay? Never make the rule that's society, that's family, that's outside of you, the rule in you. The divine rule is already in you, so you make that a priority, but never make a rule that's not spiritual your priority. Never follow it because you must. Never believe in it. Always believe in God. Never believe in these formalities that must be accomplished, must be followed, that sometimes could be divine, sometimes not. Okay? So never sell your soul to society, to your family, to your father, to your parents. Anyone can wear a mask, anyone can be real. It's just a matter of who you are. So I want to thank you again. If you want to contact me, you're welcome to do so. And goodbye.